Kallol, thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us on Startup Central. You've been a lot in the buzz. Everyone seems to be talking about Rebel Foods. Strong speculation that you've also caught the attention of Uber founder Travis Kalanick.
I mean, right now we are not in a position to discuss that, but yeah, that's what I also hear.
All right, you're neither denying or accepting it. We get the hint. But, honestly, were you also inspired by Uber's asset-light model that a lot of entrepreneurs really draw inspiration from? What's the backstory as far as the cloud kitchen idea is concerned?
Unlike some of the other players in the system, we actually started with food, like you mentioned. We started with trying to form a high street business, a QSR rather, with the brand Fasos. But essentially, even back then, we were delivery focused. So as delivery kind of became more and more prevalent, we realized that it's very difficult to run a delivery specialized business with just one offering, so to speak, which was in our case, which was Fasos. And that's how the thinking evolved. That's how we started looking at multiple brands that we could probably cater to more occasions for the consumer. So that's how the thinking evolved. But at no point of time did we veer away from our core mission, which was making the food. We still make our food.
As we're discussing, you operate in the food space, which is really a very exciting space to be in. But what's really hit with the Indian consumer? What's hot selling on the platform?
So, I mean, there are two ways to look at that. If you look at number of orders or the revenue number, which is, so if you look at number of orders, which is just number of transactions, then it's Fasos is by far the leader, which, it has to be because we practically invented that category. But equally strong and revenue-wise almost similar is Behrooz Biryani, which is India's leading biryani brand in terms of sales, in terms of coverage, etc. And coming in third would be our pizza brand, which is called Oven Story, which is I think the number 4 pizza brand in the nation today.
Kallol, but really beyond brands, talk to us about food categories that are a hit with the Indian consumer. We believe biryani tops the charts. Is that so?
So yes, biryani, for example. So if you think of food categories where there are branding, brand building opportunities, then the metrics is simple, that there is a big demand, but there is a lot of fragmented supply, which means that there is no organized player, but lots of small players, which is pointed to the fact that there is a big demand in this category. So biryani basically ticks all these boxes as a category. So we realized it was ripe for a brand play in this segment. And the difficulty, of course, is that biryani means different things to different people. And, there's a lot of people are very sentimental about their food. So, what is a right biryani? What is the right taste for a biryani, etc. So, we basically evolved a national, a nationally acceptable biryani, which is what Behrooz is today, as opposed to, let's say, a Kolkata biryani or a Hyderabadi biryani, etc. And within Behrooz, we do a lot of chicken biryanis, we do a lot of veg biryanis, and these are all unique to us. So these are not, like I said, from a particular region. They are basically Behrooz Biryani's own creations.
Well, nationally acceptable biryani is a debate in itself. But moving on, what's the role of technology at play behind the core idea? You've spoken about robotics and AI. Is it already panning out at kitchens? How would really the kitchens of future also look like?
Oh, absolutely. I think, so if you think of brand building again, basically it's two things. One is consistency and the second one is scalability. So it should be available in a lot of places, and everywhere it's available, it should taste the same. So these are, so if you go by that, the reason that Indian food or a lot of other foods in the world are difficult to scale up is precisely because there is a lot of skill involved. There is cognitive skill, because you have to remember what comes after what, at what point of the cooking. and so there are recipes that you have in your head, and there is some skill involved, either lifting the pan in a particular way or baking or whatever it is. So these are the two things. Now, if you so that's why the burgers have been so successful, because the burger chain or the pizza chain, because it's very easy to develop SOPs. There is one probably thing to do: fry something or put something in the oven, and it's done. So that is essentially what our insight has been, that if you look at any cuisine, it's essentially 2 or 3 things. One is that there is a bill of materials, that okay, these are the 5-7 things that goes into it, and then there is a dispensing, which is there is an order after what comes after what temperature, etc. And the third is some specialist finishing movement. So we have actually built machines which takes care of these things. So you can imagine something where the temperature is controlled automatically, and the dispensing happens one after the other as per a premeditated sequence, because we know exactly at what temperature something is being cooked. So there is no judgment there, and you don't need to remember anything, because the recipe is displayed to you in a video. So that sort of thing is what we are working on.
It's also interesting that you've been riding on the Swiggy, Zomato wave, so to say, even while you compete with them, but you're on the platform apart from your app. How has that really worked out?
Absolutely. I think we are completely complementary to businesses like Swiggy or even some of the others, because in India, essentially what you lack is restaurant density. So there aren't enough restaurants going around in all locations. That's because I think it's related to probably the infrastructure. There isn't enough organized retail in every locality, etc. And so in that sense, this is a perfect synergy, because we add to the supply and they add to creating the demand. So in totality, the market grows.
But how do you really see Amazon's entry into the space impact the status quo? Strong speculations that they would also want to invest heavily when they enter the space. Will they change the entire landscape altogether? We have Swiggy, Zomato, Uber Eats that's sort of eyeing an exit, but Amazon that wants to enter the space.
No, I think in terms of the market itself, there is enough scope. There is we're still scratching the surface in terms of what the mobile penetration numbers will ultimately be, and how many consumers we will have. So I think the more the market grows, the better it is for all of us in the system.
Kallol, I want you to be candid on this one. While it's a massive market, but still we are seeing established players like the likes of Swiggy, Zomato, bet big on the cloud kitchen category beyond their private labels. That's clear competition in itself, right?
So I think they are also approaching the problem from the supply perspective when they are looking at setting up kitchens. It is different from what a kitchen would mean for us, because we operate the entire kitchen with our own staff, we cook our own food. Here, what you are referring to is a model which is like a WeWork equivalent of kitchens. So you have a big space, and you cut it out into smaller spaces, and you have restaurant partners coming in and working out of there. So I think fundamentally they are addressing the same problem, which is adding to the supply. And again, I guess for our kind of proposition, this does not make sense, because a lot of what we do requires much bigger spaces, and but I guess it would make sense for a lot of first-time entrepreneurs. Or even people who are looking to grow their business from more than one city. It could be an easy way to do that. So I guess it's yeah.
Well, interesting that you say food will not be a winner-take-all category. We'll see how that pans out. But did you really see the massive logout campaign as an opportunity, considering you do not have to deal with restaurants, the regulatory aspects that the others were really put through, you didn't have to deal with them?
So I wouldn't say that specifically is the opportunity, because food I guess is not a winner-take-all game, and the more the number of players, the better it is. So I wouldn't say that specific, but yeah, if you look at what we have done and what our growth has been, it is essentially we went from trying to build something on the high street to realizing that okay, the rents don't justify this kind of a business, so we went delivery only. So that's been our journey. For a lot of these partners, I think there are genuine issues around what kind of, but I guess that's what I read in the papers, what kind of percentages they are being charged and what kind of discounts they're being forced to offer. So these are all individual conversations really. We also are on these platforms, and I guess for all of us, for the entire ecosystem, we have to find a way to make this work, because anybody exiting or becoming unviable finally is not good for the ecosystem as a whole.
From the business expansion point of view, would you be eyeing, say, the space of weddings and caterings, where B2B is really a massive, massive market, the volume is really huge? Are you really working out there?
We haven't got as far as weddings yet, but we have, we do operate food courts out of a lot of these events, a lot of corporate places, and increasingly we are trying to see if we can be in, some airports. And see, essentially, we don't really know this business of running a dine-in kind of restaurant very well, because we've never been that. But wherever it is possible to serve the customer very quickly, something on the go. For example, we are on the railways now. You can order most of our brands from IRCTC as well. So those kind of opportunities we think we would be taking on. But not like a fine dine sort of thing. I mean, that's something we don't know.
Interesting. It's airports after railways, massive potential there. But lastly, before I let you go, I have to ask you, what really is the future of food tech?
So if I could see the future, then there would be nothing better than that. But what I think increasingly, from what I'm noticing in, say, let's say the markets like the US or the UK. There you don't have this problem of organized retail space, etc. And so there could be, so if you think of how this disruption has shaped up, it is essentially been like all other industries which have got internetized, so to speak. The first thing that happens is the information aggregation goes, like ticketing, movies, bookings, etc. Which is like you take information from a lot of places and present it at one place. So that has, in the food equivalent space, that has been the delivery channel. Suddenly you have people who are picking up from other restaurants and doing deliveries. So once that picks up as a channel and becomes the fastest growing channel, then the question is, why do you need to then be on high streets, which then puts further pressure on retail and then retail space, and and then that affects the price points there. So what I'm trying to refer is that it's sort of a dynamic equilibrium, because you're disrupting one part. So once that picks up, some other part will become. So it's very difficult to say what exactly is going to happen. But I think the concept of having multiple offerings from a single space, which is sweating the assets more, whether it is the infrastructure, whether it is the people, that is something that will definitely evolve. So if we can use the same set of people within a restaurant to produce 3 brands, for example, where with the help of certain machines, where you're not dependent on skill, where the supply chain is sorted. So if you like a brand as a SaaS kind of concept, something like that probably, to me at least, seems the near future.